CIA Aerospace Park Committee, which is somewhere there. And I don't have a presentation. I just want to talk to you. So don't look at the screen. So just look at me. I'm going to talk about the journey, as he rightly said, about what I am doing. It's not the end. You need to watch me doing it for the next 20, 30 years. But still, it is the hope that most of you, after today evening, you will come with me during this journey. So that is why I'm standing in front of you, though I haven't completed my journey yet. So if you look at what I am, is very normal, lazy, and probably I will fit into a majority, 60-70% of anybody in the world, and have actually even today don't have much clue about what to do in life. Sometimes what happens is you actually ramble along and keep going in life, and then get kind of bogged down to very simple things and people and whatever is around you, and suddenly one fine day what happens is something changes, and you won't realize it on that particular day, but over a period of time it kind of solidifies around you, and then suddenly you see yourself being transformed. Probably in India you can call it as fate, actually. And sometimes, like, though the fate is there and it is hanging in front of you, you need to actually pick it up and then work on it. So that's what exactly I did in 2004. Sitting in one day in office, and suddenly it was a lean time, and I just came up with this thought, which is a stray thought, that I should start building schools, and there was no clear idea on why. In fact, I wrote down in a piece of paper saying that I should build a school for every village. Probably looking back, it went on to a visit to my native village, where I saw the kids playing on the street, and then the one-room school was so dirty and there was no teachers. I never kind of imagined that it will strike me so hard, because I just looked at it and moved on, but it kind of grew inside me, and then kind of came to a conclusion that I should change this, and not only in my village, but change it everywhere in India. Whenever you start doing something, you think you are very clear and smart, but actually you are really very stupid, because you don't really know the gravity of what you are attempting to do. So when I wrote down what I wanted to do, I never calculated, because I am very poor in maths, and it reflected on my calculations. It would have taken me kind of $24 billion to do what I was planning to do. And even worse is that it is going to cost me even like more to maintain it and running it. Even later on, after a year, I realized that even the government of India is struggling too hard to do it, because even RTE was not, right to education was not there even during that time. But what happens is, like, sometimes when something is growing inside you, it is like the virus, right? So it doesn't stop there. Knowing very well that it is futile, and knowing very well that you need to spend your life and everything what you have had so far, and then there is a lot of big struggle in front of you. But still, like, suddenly you become like kind of obsessed, and that's what happened to me after a couple of years. I started talking to everybody around, saying that, see, look, this is what I'm going to do, like, and then said, okay, what do you want to do? I want to build like 10 schools in every district in India, which is, at that time it was 604, now it is 640. It's roughly comes to around 6,000, and then I said, like, this is not a one-room school or something. I want to build in 20 acres, large school. It should take like 1,000 odd students, and then I will run it for 3 shifts. The first meeting I had was with a bunch of my own friends from my office, and we went out for coffee, and then we were having this conversation. So imagine one of your friend in this table talking about something, and actually they just looked up and said, okay, and then went back to drinking the coffee, and that's the conversation, end of it. It took me 2 years to actually move the idea from my own thinking to a PowerPoint presentation and then start circulating it. I was talking to people traveling across. Whenever there was a weekend, I used to go around and start meeting people. Then I started going to villages and start going to schools and see how things are, going to government schools, private schools, schools run by NGOs, and so many other things to see. And slowly it dawned on me that there are millions and millions of educationists in this country toiling day and night. They are struggling and they can't do what I was planning to do. Then also I realized one more thing. I was talking to simple people, normal people, like people who used to work with me most of the time and who are my friends, and saying that, see, look, this is the kind of project I want to do, and this is what I set a target of 2020. That was in 2004. 2020 seemed like too far, so I have a lot of time, I can do so many things. But I also realized that if you talk to people who haven't done much in life, who is struggling every day, like going to office and trying to get a promotion or trying to do something else, maybe running a small business or a shop or whatever it is, they appreciate it, they understand that you are trying to do something, but at the end of it, they don't tell you like, okay, what is the next you need to do, right? They don't actually come and tell you that, okay, now let's do this in the next month. Then I realized that I should go and talk to people who have already done something similar in scale, right? That is the most important thing. And this is a kind of a change. I stopped going to people, everybody, and then said, let me go and find out who's the guy who I should go and talk to. That's the time I saw Abdul Kalam's book, saying what we want to do in 2020. And of course, a lot of people, when he was working in ISRO, thought he was crazy, and eventually when he became the president, they kind of changed their opinion. Then it struck me that I should go and meet people like that and talk about it. And then the mind started working. Your inherent devious ways of your mind starts playing. And then I found out that if I bring him to my place rather than I go to his place, it is much easier to talk to him. That's how I brought him to my office. And there is a big story about how we managed it, but it was something which we were inaugurating a science lab, and we went to Delhi to inaugurate him, and he came. That was a starting point. In 2008, it took me like kind of 4 years to come to a level where I can go and meet Dr. Kalam and explain about the project. And my close friend, Dr. Kota Harinarayana, who was also a colleague of Dr. Kalam, was there in that meeting. I started talking, and then Kota said, you know what this guy wants to do for 2020 plan. And then Dr. Kalam turned around and said, you don't talk, let him talk. It took me around 45 minutes to explain what I am planning to do. After that 45 minutes, he said, see, look, this is the kind of money you want to have to build this. And the RT Act is going to come in the Parliament in the next few years. And I suggest that you work with the government, don't work with individuals raising funds, and work with the government to create a PPP project, public-private partnership, and it will work. And at that time, he had one of his colleagues, Mr. M.B. Verma, who was the scientist in NAL, National Aerospace. He said, you know what, he is from Bihar, and this guy is working there after his retirement in a very remote village near Darbhanga, and he is working there for the last few years. And if you go and build a school here, and if it works in Bihar, then it will work all over India. The reason why I'm saying this conversation is, if you go and talk to people around you, it's good because it's a feel-good factor. But if you actually go to a person who has similar vision and who has done in similar capacity, he actually tells you what you should do in future, right? To kind of carry your vision forward. So this actually made me think that I should go and talk to people who are having similar kind of vision. So this is something which is the first thing you need to do, so that you don't actually get bogged down by people who appreciate it but actually don't carry the same thing with you, right? So that's when I started meeting people across India, and I found that there are hundreds and hundreds of people who have kind of dedicated their life doing similar things across India. Then your cynicism in life actually turns into positive thinking, because you are actually meeting people who are positive in life and doing positive things in life. So this is the second thing which actually changes you from a drudgery, ordinary person to something which you think you are going to change it. Then we went around, we went to Bihar, we spoke to the villages. Now, talking to the president and talking to the big people and having a fantastic engineering plan and say that I can build a school in 90 days is one thing. But the end customer, who is the villager, who is an illiterate villager, and he has to appreciate what you are trying to do. So I'll tell you two incidences, one in Moha district in Punjab and another one in Darbhanga. The first village meeting, and I don't know anything other than Tamil and English, thanks to our education system. I went to Punjab and sitting there in the village committee meeting. Of course, they were talking in Punjabi and all those things. And I said, see, look, I want to do everything. No politicians. We want to come here to do it. I will get you money. We will build this school, and then we will all be happy. Then I waited for him to translate it. He translated it. Then there was a lot of commotion. And then it became such a racket, and finally one guy started screaming. Then I said, what is happening? He said, see, look, you know, this building which we are sitting here and talking to the villagers is built by the local MLA. You know, the school which is coming up, it has been done by the MP's fund. You know, anything you see, the health center and everything is done by the politicians who is running this place. Now, obviously, now people say that, if you say that I don't want to involve the politicians, now the people are really upset. Now I realized, from a city guy talking about that we don't want to be in politics and need to be away from politicians, but if you actually go to the villages, they are more conscious and they are more participative in politics than we are in the urban centers. That was the biggest learning. From then on, I started meeting politicians, and I can tell you that more than 80% of the politicians are very good. Personally, I have met and seen these people, they are very good. Now you need to actually do your homework in meeting them to come back and tell me that the same situation is there. And 95% of bureaucrats in India is good. I have met every single IAS officer who is running the district level, the district magistrate, and all these people are extraordinarily good. The only issue is that the problems are so complicated that it is very difficult for us to actually do everything by only these few people who are slogging. That means that people like you and me actually need to support them to make things to work. That's when we realize that we will not work in contradictory terms with the government or with any other system which is prevailing, but we will work with them and make sure that we can do these things. So that is a public-private partnership model. Then we go to, from Punjab, we went to Bihar. Now, in Bihar, same village meeting, first time I showed the video. If you have time, you can look up the YouTube video. In the first meeting, village meeting, they said, see, this will not work because you are dreaming about 20 acres, who will give you? We don't have land even for cultivation, and we will not give you. And you are talking about 14 crores for a project which will never happen in this place. Then we said, we came back, and after 2 months, one guy calls up and says, you know what, this is the same dream I always had for the last 40 years. I want to build this kind of thing in my village, and I always used to talk to people, but they never listened to me. And he said, you said 20 acres. You know what, I have 2.5 acres. I will give you 2.5. No, we can't do it because the plan is different, and we need to have an integrated school in your village which will cater to 50 villages. I said, I have a science center, I have this, I have biggest library, I have a open air theater. This is best in class compared to any other school you will ever see in the city. Then he says, okay, let me go and talk to all my villagers. He comes back after months and he says, Now I have 10 acres. People are willing to donate it because they listen to me, because they know me for the last 40, 50 years. So I'll give you 10. And there is another 13 which is there with the government. Then let us see whether we can put this together. Then we go to the district magistrate and the IAS officer. He comes and he says, where are you coming from? I said, I'm coming from Chennai. And this fellow says, wow, I am from Coimbatore, I am in Darbhanga, and you are coming from Chennai. And it is something really surprising that we two meet in Darbhanga and trying to discuss a project for Bihar. And that's how all these things started falling in place. Now from a theoretical concept to a vision statement to the route in which it takes all over the place, and then suddenly it dawns on you as a physical, realistic thing. And from that moment on, we started having volunteers, people who are started working on it on various aspects. In fact, today we haven't spent one single rupee on any of the things what we are doing. Everything is done by volunteers. So this is where we are. The first pilot is happening in Bihar, and we started getting all the other donations coming in from all across the place. It's a big journey. To force this, to make people to donate land across India, we are starting a walking journey from 2014. So personally, I am walking for 36,000 kilometers for 6 years from June 2014 to go to every single district in India to make people to donate land so that they own the education within themselves, within their own community. And we provide, as people from outside, provide all the expertise and funding and processes so that they can start owning it in the coming years in future. So that people don't blame the government or others. That means you just take ownership for your own things and start building these structures. If you look at India, it is going to be like 1.6 billion people. In fact, Dr. Kalam predicts that we will touch 3 billion as a population. And if you are going to depend on few hundred politicians and trying to take care of our everything, people start cribbing about a lot of things about politicians, but I would crib more about young, energetic people who don't want to spend that extra time to saturate certain problems. So I urge you to support us in this journey. I can various things about what we are doing, but I know it is only in 18 seconds. But please, I can talk to you later after this. So this is just a journey, and I expect all of you to come with us. Thank you.